sit.
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerd Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garrett Price.
How's it going?
And we're here talking wide receivers and what are the odds of them being a wide receiver one more than once.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yep.
Garrett, please tell us, what are the odds of these receivers to be a wide receiver more than once?
Why? Just a wide receiver.
Your odds of being a wide receiver more than once, pretty good.
Pretty good, unless you're like Calvin Benjamin, who turned into a tight end pretty quickly.
That's
He
true.
didn't really officially switch positions.
Or you just get cut real fast.
That is true, too. That is true as well.
Didn't really make it out of camp.
What was his face? Who was a receiver that you liked a lot? And they moved the
JJ
Eagles.
Arcega-Whiteside? No.
I think it was JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Eagles
he was
signed
a
him as tight
receiver
end.
for like 1-2 seasons, and then they moved him to tight end, and then he was in the XFL.
Dude, both his parents were basketball players. Like,
Dude, I really liked him.
Yes, you did.
I really
to be
liked
fair,
him.
I like JJ Arcega-Whiteside too.
Yep. That was before I realized separation is important.
It is. Yeah, you got to do
He
that.
did not separate well. He boxed out well. He could go up and high point the ball real well.
Yep.
Could not separate.
Dude, it's why I pivoted and I got so into like really good route. It's why I was so high on Ladd McConkey. Like I was higher on Ladd McConkey probably than anybody else in the industry. And I was like, dude, this guy's my wide receiver 4 and into such a deep class. I was like, because dude, he separates so well. And like he's always just gonna be targeted on these PPR, like in PPR leagues.
Honestly, my early stuff, like you'll see on my early stuff, the running backs were always good scouting wise because I played running back, so I understood the nuance. I never played receiver, so I didn't understand like the nuance as much watching tape until a few years in, where I was like, I see what I've been like missing on a couple of these things and a couple of these guys. So that really kind of helps
Self-scouting.
boost things up.
Yep.
It's easy to fall in love with those big, tall wide receivers
Absolutely.
that can go get the football, but you're like, dude, if you're not open, you're not gonna get thrown the football.
Yep, they don't like to do that as much.
And guess what? NFL cornerbacks are pretty good at contested catches.
And they're getting bigger and taller as the
Yes.
years go on. So, all right, but these wide receivers here, we have, we always talk about the GOAT at each position.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning seemed to be like the truest outlier GOAT of all of them, but we have a pretty special one here at receiver.
How
too.
many years did we go back on this one?
We went all the way back to 2005.
Ooh, so 20 years.
Yep, all the way back to 2005.
Garrett was playing with Pokemon
Dude,
cards.
We're gonna do dude, next year's a big year for this show for the wide receivers. We're gonna be legally able to drink.
Yes.
Get that.
We have or actually, was it 04? So this is 21.
Oh, crack it
It's
open.
this year. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. On this, he had 9 seasons as a wide receiver one.
Man.
6 of those 9 were top 6 too. So he wasn't just barely squeaking in. He had an amazing run. He had a longer career than other guys, 17 years playing wide receiver. That's a really long time.
Freakishly long.
Yeah, Jerry Rice-esque.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really long time. You see a lot of these other guys that are retired. It's like 11, 12, 10,
And that
13.
is
Like,
a long
Yeah.
career.
and he's like, yeah, I'm going to play 17 years at a very high level.
And to be fair, most of those 9 seasons came early.
They did. There was like a weird lull in the middle too, where like he was like really good at first, and then like a lull, and then he had like a 2 to 3 year stretch where he's like, "I'm back, baby."
Well, the Cardinals were really bad
They were.
in that little stretch
They
too.
were.
And then they got Kurt Warner and things
Kurt Warner
changed.
tore it up. Yep.
But all of this, we go through and we look at all these guys, and you see some very common names. So this year, top 12 guys, we have 5 guys returning, and these are all names that you're like, yeah, of course they would return. They're freaking fantastic. Jamar Chase, who, by the way, 4 straight seasons as a wide receiver one. Very, very impressive.
4 straight seasons as a top 6 receiver.
Yep. He's maybe I messed that up. Does it say that?
Yes.
Okay. I might have messed that up because he only has 2 of the 4 top 6.
Oh, my apologies. I read your data wrong.
I probably typed it in wrong as I was doing
way
it
to make
today.
me look stupid.
I feel so dumb. I'm an idiot. So top
He was number 5. He was 11, and 1.
Okay,
So
two.
those were his
Top six.
finishes. Yep.
Justin Jefferson. Shut up, man. Justin Jefferson. Amon-Ra St. Brown. CeeDee Lamb. Devontae Adams.
And Justin Jefferson's gone 6'4", 1, 33, and then 2.
And Jamar Chase.
Yeah. So he's
And that's probably why I put 4 for him, because I was doing Justin Jefferson right next to him.
could be.
And he has every year as a wide receiver 1, he's been a top 6 guy.
Yes, he has.
Who's that?
Justin Jefferson. Which is probably why I messed up Jamar Chase, because they were right next to
And
each
the year that he was 33 was the year that he missed time. So
Yep.
that was only 10 games.
So when healthy,
Yep.
bonkers. But with only 5 guys entering this year, that means we had 7 new wide receiver 1s this year, which is one of the biggest years. We've had some pretty big years, but this is one of the biggest years we've had on record as far as new players inside the top 12 here. So we had Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London,
Okay.
Malik Neighbors,
Yes.
the old guy of the group, Terry McLaurin.
Finally got there.
Finally made it. Good for you, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Smith and Jigba,
Mm.
Garrett Wilson, and then Jerry Jeudy snuck in at 12 there. Look at that. So all of these guys, their very first time as wide receiver 1s. So with the numbers here, this is what we have. 1-year wonders are 49.35%. So we actually, the highest number of 1-year wonders we have at the wide receiver position.
And what's crazy
Interesting.
is it's dead even.
It's almost dead even.
In the last 21 years, again, think about all the receivers in the league, right? And it's going back for 21 years. There's been only 39 receivers to be wide receiver 1s at least twice. 39 in 21 seasons. How many were 1-year wonders? 39.
They're 38.
38. Sorry,
Yeah.
38. I apologize. Yeah.
38
One
were
less.
1-year wonders, and 39 did it 2+ years. So, I mean, we're looking at as close to a dead even split as you can get. So, similar to running back, though, I think it's not too difficult to figure out which ones are truly elite players
Malik Neighbors,
and which ones are, hey, it was nice that you joined us this year.
Terry McLaurin.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
Probably not going to see you again.
Well, I bet I can see Terry
It's possible.
cracking that number 2 mold. I can see him kind of sneaking his way in there, but the only other guys like Deebo Samuel. Thanks for showing up the 1 year. I think guys on the list that I think are potential to do it. The end of that make it 40 people. I think Terry McLaurin, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore. I think DK Metcalf's one of those guys. I think
Chris Godwin.
Chris
if he can stay
Godwin's
healthy. He would have this year if he would have stayed healthy.
which is crazy. He would have. And I think that's really about Calvin Ridley is one of those sneaky guys that could, just because he's pelted with so many targets,
Yeah.
possibly. But the young guys, it's really just Jerry Jeudy and Waddle, maybe Smith.
Yeah, and we have a lot of guys that are not eligible to get in yet that I think I would be surprised if this entire list wasn't in. So this could start to skew the numbers within the next couple years
yeah.
to shift it closer to running
There's
backs
such a
where
strong
it's
class.
55, 56, 57%, something like that. Because here's the players that we have that are not eligible yet,
That have done it once.
that have done it only one time.
And
Now,
I
I
think-
would have included them had they done it twice,
Right.
but they haven't.
I think every single one of these guys
I think so too.
will be a wide receiver 1 again.
Yep, absolutely. A couple of guys almost guaranteed would have done it this year had it not been for injuries.
Yeah.
The top 2 guys. So we have Puka Nacua,
Yep.
Nico Collins,
Yep.
Brian Thomas Jr.,
Uh-huh.
Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson. I mean, all of those guys right now, you are drafting within your top 13, 14 receivers.
Oh, I'm drafting these guys okay, so outside of Malik Neighbors, who's clearly everybody's highest rated players, out of all those guys on that list, who's the one guy that you want? Because I think my name is going to be different than your guys' name. Out of all those players, so out of Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, Drake London, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Garrett Wilson. Because Malik Neighbors is my wide receiver 3 overall. Right behind.
You're saying take Malik Neighbors' name off of this list?
Because all of us would probably
because we'd
have him
all
first.
pick Malik
Right.
Neighbors.
Okay.
I think we have a chance to have all different name here.
I think the right answer should be Puka Nacua, but for me, I think it's Drake London.
That's my guy. That's who I would
Is
take
that- is
too.
that
I would
what
take
you're
Drake London over all those guys.
I think so too.
He's 23 years old. Looked absolutely dominant with Michael Penix behind the helm. He's the guy that I would want. See, I didn't think you guys would pick Drake London. I thought maybe you would go
I'm
with
still
Brian
not.
Thomas.
I'm still not. And
You gonna go Thomas?
I want to pick Thomas, but with Hunter being there, I don't know how I feel about that.
That does make it a little.
So
riskier.
I was actually leaning towards Jackson Smith and Jigbo.
He'd
Which
be my second
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, it's a good choice as well.
Then maybe over Brock.
then it's got to be Brian Thomas for me because the dude just went.
But
Yeah.
Nico's really hard to pass up. Like he was on pace to do it again this year.
Right.
Like, it's a really good group of players.
Garrett Wilson's really good. Yeah, these guys are all really good.
Garrett
too.
Wilson. I mean, I think Puka Nacua. What do you think?
No, I'm surprised. I didn't think either of you would pick Drake London. That's why I want to ask. I would take clear cut. I would take Drake London here. It's
After Malik.
Yeah, after. I would take Malik over everybody besides Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, honestly. And I think there's an argument.
And I think his ADP is reflecting that now.
And honestly, I wouldn't even argue where people are like, oh, you're crazy. You took Malik Neighbors over Jamar Chase and I'd have no problem taking a 21-year-old receiver over both those guys.
I said it last week on the show. Like, I mean, it's at what point does that like come
Start to
in,
become more common.
start coming into the conversation? I think now because you get 4 more extra years. I mean, it's just.
And if he just imagine if he's a wide receiver 1 again this year, that means the first 2 years in the league he's a wide receiver 1. Now he's like he is Justin Jefferson,
Right.
just 4 more years younger. And like, why wouldn't you take that then? It just again, it's kind of a savvy move. Like if you can make that move. Now, I don't think you're flipping Justin Jefferson from Malik Neighbors for any kind of plus. Like maybe somebody give you a third, maybe, but I think it's an equal swap. I kind of said in the show same thing. Like I have no problem doing an equal swap, like and things like that. If I feel I can get younger and I believe in this player exactly the same, I think so. But he's only again Jamar Chase, absolute dime. You know, he's my wide receiver 1 right now, but he's only done it for 4 years.
That's the interesting part about Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Look at what they've done in 4 and 5 years compared to all of the guys around him are all double-digit seasons for the most part.
Yeah.
Like all of them, guys that have done it 4 or 5 seasons are basically all they've played 10 plus years almost. The only exception to that is Michael Thomas. He did it in 7, but then he fell off the face of the earth.
Right.
And a lot of that was thank you, Drew Brees, for being awesome.
Yeah.
But other than that, like AJ Green, a guy we talk about in very high regard. It took him 11 seasons to get 4. Demaryius Thomas, 10 seasons to get 4. And then guys that got into the 5 range, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Wes Welker, Roddy White. Like these are some like
Big
Hall of Fame, big time names. And they've only done it 1 more season than Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. So I think while I would not argue crazy with somebody for taking a Malik Neighbors ahead of them, I think we also have to see the trajectory that these guys are on is truly that like special Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, and the surprise name in there, Brandon Marshall type of tier. Guys right below that, Devontae Adams, Calvin Johnson, Antonio Brown, Tyreek Hill. Like those guys are destined for that type of tier.
Yeah, so you get them. They're 25 years old, respectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, how long is that window? They're only 5 wide receiver 1 seasons away from tying Larry Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
They're only 4 or 3 wide receivers, 3 seasons away from being number 2 all time, tying Brandon Marshall, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams. Now, obviously, Devontae Adams has a chance to jump and be
get
clear-cut
one more
number
season,
2,
maybe,
and enter a GOAT. He's already a GOAT in that territory. So remember, like we said before, this list goes back 21 years. So this isn't like some crazy list. Obviously, the receivers have taken a big jump over the last like 15 years. But when you think of guys like, Jamar Chase, and let's put a little respect on CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've done it 3 times, and they're in the league just as long. So they're right behind them. It's just one injury away from they're in that category too. So when you look at these guys at the top of the list of elite receivers,
special names,
even easy to put a guy like Malik Neighbors in that list. But yeah, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are in that elite trajectory. But right behind them, that like second tier receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, has a chance to jump into that Antonio Brown, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Johnson range. Remember, Calvin Johnson only did it 6 times, right? So they're halfway that Calvin Johnson. It is a hard way to get to.
Yeah.
And think about guys like Brian Thomas. Another guy you didn't mention on this list, I feel a little bit kind of dismissed. You have it here. They've only done it 1 year. They're not eligible. You forgot a name.
Oh, did I? Who did I forget?
My good friend, my lover boy, Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey. He actually was not a wide receiver 1 last year.
He wasn't a wide receiver 1?
He was not.
Wait a
Now,
minute.
remember, you go through week 17, I go through week 18 for all the data. So maybe that's what shifted it. But-
Buddy, pal, come on.
Buddy.
Good buddy,
No,
old pal.
weeks 1 through 18. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 12.
Oh, did he make it?
He tied Jerry Judy. They had the
that's
exact
why
same
I
amount of
didn't have
points.
it. So I had Judy in, and I didn't have Ladd McConkey.
Yeah,
in.
so he was.
So he gets an. Oh man. So now we have 13 guys in our top 12. It's gonna throw off my whole board.
All these numbers are null and void.
But if you go back last year, weeks 1 through 17, which is I count the regular season, he was still wide receiver 12 too. So Ladd McConkey is on this list.
All right.
Yes, you know,
All right.
Add him for the historical
I'm adding
data.
him. I'm
Ladd
adding him.
McConkey.
Done and done.
Adam. All right. So 50-50, right, is the range here that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Correct.
Either 1 year wonder or 2+. Is it a little bit of a deceiving stat, though, is what I'm kind of looking at? Because wide receivers are one of these positions. A lot of fantasy football teams have 3, right? So there's a ton of value in guys that are in wide receiver 2 range. I almost feel like this might need to get expanded and almost have like hey, these are the super elite guys, obviously, that you want, right? These wide receiver 1s guys. But then there's this like group of wide receiver 2s that then touch wide receiver 1 numbers and are also very valuable. I feel like there's this subgroup that we're almost missing in wide receiver.
Okay, here's why I kind of think that the subgroup is a little bit off. I think where it's like, okay, it's 50-50 that you're at one time, but I feel like for the most part, the top 12 is like 75% the same guys, like from 1 year to the next. And then like the year after that, I feel like it's mostly the same guys that are slowly, and then a couple of those guys kind of fall off, but like 75% of those guys are like the same guys.
We
When
do
you see-
always talk about like that top 12 is more stagnant than other top 12s, right? Especially.
But is it really like you can look at all the yellow, and those are the new players every year that entered for the first time. So you could see it like this year it was we had 7 guys
Yeah.
enter, 3 the year before, but then
Yeah, I guess you're
5
right.
the year before that. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 the year before that? 5 the year before that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 the year before that. 3. So
3.
it seems to be between like 4.5 to 5 new guys on average per season.
Yeah, so about 75%.
That's really
That's-
bad math. That one doesn't
4.
add up.
Just say 4. Just that's 30. It's
Of
30.
10, that would be
60%.
50.
Listen, man, I am not Albert Einstein.
So that's
I just pretend.
So, like I'm saying, like, do we need a subcategory for wide receivers since there are so many wide receivers in the league and in lineups? Like, I feel like maybe this one might need to get expanded slightly.
To do like a top 18?
No, just to have running back or wide receiver 2 numbers that then, like, hey, maybe if you've finished as a wide receiver 2 8 years and then you still also became a wide receiver 1 once, there's still a lot of value in that player.
Oh, for sure. There's still a lot of value in that player.
I mean, I know we're looking for difference makers, so maybe that.
I think these numbers we're
Yeah.
trying to the target here are like the elite championship kind of players, and like if you kind of like we mentioned with the Bijan Gibbs, like who are the guys that you want to like the cornerstone players, the
Right.
guys you want to wrap your hands around and never let go.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
Yeah. Okay.
You shouldn't
You're
like
right.
kind of like. Yeah, like everybody's available in Dynasty, but if you want this guy, like you're overpaying. Like right now, if you want Jaden Daniels, like you're drastically overpaying. If you want Brock Bowers, even after 1 year, you're drastically overpaying.
Yeah. And while I agree with you, Matt, in the sense that like those guys are very valuable players, we see it in other statistics that we do when we talk about like hit rates. We'll include guys if they had like multiple wide receiver 2 seasons and this or something like that. So I'll include those guys in like as hits in a lot of data.
Sure.
But I think for this, we're trying to identify like
Creme de la cremes. I
Yeah,
got you.
I
Yep.
think so.
All right. Sorry to sidetrack us there. I
No, it's a good thought, though.
I was trying to have like why is it so 50-50? Why is it so
right.
I
I think it's because we have a
there's-
lot of guys like Robert Woods for example, he only had one wide receiver one season, which seems wrong. Like he should have had way more than that, right?
And that's where the thought came from, because I was looking at the guys that were one-hit wonders. I'm like, these dudes are
Julian
super.
Edelman
There
only
are
had
some
one?
very valuable guys, and I was very shocked to see some of the names on it. That's what made me think of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys like we too, Matt. Remember we first started doing the podcast, like 11 years ago, we were on the show going, man, you really kind of want to trade for Brian Hartline. Like I know he doesn't, like nobody wants him. He has super late ADP, but like he's a wide receiver too, like
all the time. Yeah.
Like,
and he's getting valued as a wide receiver 4. Right. And that's the thing. If you're not one of these superstars, you do get kind of shunted to the side. They are super valuable. So maybe that's just a different show.
Yeah.
That might just be a different show.
And definitely now in today's day and age, there's so many of these guys that you can kind of get in your value. But like, I think we're using this information that like, who are those like true cornerstone, like the truest definition of cornerstone player? Somebody you can put in your lineup and get like 5, 6, 7 seasons of not like just startable seasons. Like you're mentioning like, oh, I can put him in there. Yeah, he's a good player. Like the Brian Hartlines, the Robert Woods,
Jarvis Landry was
Jarvis
one of those
Landry
kind of
is a
guys.
guy like that.
I think he ended up having 2 seasons, but
Adam Thielen, some of those lines, the old guys like the Alshon Jeffries, the Eric Decker falls in that category. It's the T.Y. Hilton,
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
Can we agree though that these cream of the crop guys are they're not hard to identify. I think you can kind of see them coming, and Malik Neighbors, like the guys that we're talking about, the not eligible guys that we all expect to do it again.
Sure.
They're almost like slam dunk layups, you know what I mean? But I think, and they're unobtainable for the most part because everyone sees them coming. But these other guys that are habitually wide receiver 2s and then occasionally pop their head up and are wide receiver 1s, those are the guys that you almost have to go out and try to find, right? Because you got to try to figure out who those guys are to all of a sudden blossom and be a wide receiver 1. Terry McLaurin, a perfect example of a guy that was just a wide receiver 2 forever, and then this past season came out and was wide receiver 1.
I think going back to last year when I say like there's these windows, like I traded for Jamar Chase 2 years ago. I've made trades for some of these guys we're talking about. Like there is windows to trade for these guys. Definitely if one of them does get like an injury, right? Like or CeeDee Lamb has a down year, like Amon-Ra is like somebody who's obtained, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's expensive, but he's obtainable. He's not Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase expensive.
Sure.
We're like these numbers would tell you, wow, he's pretty damn close to be like, okay, if you can't, I think, so not identifying Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, I think a guy like CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown are obtainable. Yeah. And this, you go in your head, you're going, is Amon-Ra St. Brown worth like 3 first round picks? Well, the numbers say here, probably pretty damn close to it, right? Like you might have to give a little bit back to get 3 out of them, like out of those, but like overall, the data would say he's probably worth it. Now,
and he's still young. He's still
young. His trajectory is right, I think. But like if you have the opportunity, sometimes I guess what's an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow, is my saying, right? I think sometimes where you go, oh my God, yeah, dude, Justin Jefferson's really good, but you just paid that? Like, wow. And getting a guy, like, I think the biggest time is when you get like guys that jump on the scene like a Brian Thomas, right? Sometimes you have these windows of like you have this rookie that jumps in and people they like, dude, I'm rebuilding. I kind of want to get younger. I have Jamar Chase. Now all of a sudden you have Brian Thomas in your back pocket. Could he turn into something like this? Of course he could. Odds are low, not great, but like, oh, now I could get Brian Thomas in a first and get Jamar Chase. Because people are like, dude, Brian Thomas just finished as wide receiver 4, but you can get Jamar Chase for Brian Thomas in a first. People are like, okay, I think there's windows still to get those players. You're right. They're real hard to get. But I think this is telling us the importance of having those players. More so when they're in that young range, like a Jamar Chase who's 25
We
years
had
old.
somebody on the roster rescue yesterday say, you should never pay 3 first for a player. And I actually like took a small time to stop the show a little bit to say like, hey, I appreciate the comment, but I could not disagree more. Like if this year somebody said, hey, give me picks 5, 6, 7, all mid-range picks in this year's draft, and I'll give you Josh Allen. Like I'm taking Josh Allen 100 times out of 100. Like I like Travion Henderson that I'd get at 5. I like Tet McMillan that I'd get at 6. I like Quinshon Judkins that I'd get at 7. All good players. Give me the tried and true proven asset because we've seen historical data on after the top 4 picks, less than 50-50 shot that those guys hit. Less than 50-50. So, like, as much as I like all of these players, sometimes we just put so much value in this draft capital, and sometimes it really is better to just say, hey, I've done an amazing job on my rebuild. I've had 2 good classes in a row, still got some draft assets. Sometimes it's worth it to say, okay, I need that anchor for my team.
And listen, that statement's true if you're like a bottom team with not a lot of depth, right? Like, obviously that statement's true because you're going to have top 3 picks. Like, that's different. But once you enter that, like, I'm going to make the playoff tier, 100%. If I had I finished with the 7th overall pick and I was like, oh, I just made the playoffs and I have a team, it's a playoff team and I feel okay about my team. Not only would I give 3 first round picks, I would give 3 entire draft classes for Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all those. I would give 3 first round picks for Jahmyr Gibbs or B. Okay, I'm a little bit less hesitant with like running backs to be fair, but like Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jaden Daniels, I would give 3 entire draft classes, not 3 first. You're right, 100% it is, because one, you got to look at it, it's not 3 first round picks. Like, this is why I hate when people offer me like for a good player just like a first. Okay, once that player's off my roster, one of those picks automatically is going to be used trying to replace that good player, which you're not, which is almost impossible.
The odds are tough.
Odds are tough to do that. So you're really only getting 2 first round picks, which are 2 gambles, like you said, that are going to be, because they obviously can't be the first overall pick because you have different draft classes, is like it's 50-50 at best to be a rosterable player. So yeah, some players are 100% worth 3 first round picks, because then maybe if you want to turn it around, like, ooh, I could get a first round pick and 2 good upside players that I want, and then turn it into that. It's just, it's all about like how you're moving through and navigating the system, right? Like, yeah, of course he's not worth 3 first round picks if your whole team has 2 good players and you're the number 1 overall pick. Of course that's the case. But yeah, players are worth multiple first round picks. So let's get into some percentages here before we get into tight ends. But before we do, again, I have to tell you guys about our friends over at FastDraft. Right now, like I said, they had that $50,000 Origins Gamma tournament started. $50,000 for some best ball stuff, right? I say it every single week because I really do mean it. Like, I'm in multiple drafts right now on FastDraft, and it's just because in the summertime, like, I like to keep my fantasy football brain active, right? Like, it's so easy to turn out whatever. Best ball drafts are the thing that I love to do, right? Slow drafts, 12-man drafts. Takes a couple weeks to get through it, but like, you're on your toes. You're seeing what people are valuing players at in certain range, and that redraft data can carry over to Dynasty value as well. Like, wow, guys are taking this guy. Like, dude, people are taking Bayshall 2 and ahead of this running back and this running back in redraft, which means they value him more this year. Mm-hmm. Wow, maybe I can make a flip of a trade. Boom, I use that information and make a trade. That's what best ball could do for me. On top of the fact is, I'm drafting fantasy football teams. It's the funnest thing ever. It's why we're in so many dynasty leagues, because the initial draft is the funnest part. Drafting is so much fun, and best ball gets you to let you do that. And FastDraft lets you do it under 5 minutes. You draft a team, you set it back, you forget it, you don't set your lineups, you see what happens, and then hopefully if you do it right and you put enough time into this, you could come away up a lot of money. And worst case, you're going to have a lot of fun, right? You drafted $10 team, you hope for the best. You have to. Sometimes for me, just the draft experience was worth $10.
It's worth the money,
to me,
yes.
Right? Let's have a good time. And right now, we're offering a good promo with FastDraft. If you use the promo code NERDS and you deposit at least $10 and play in $10 contest, we're going to hook you up. Now, they're going to match your deposit up to $50 no matter what. But if you put in $10, they're going to give you a free $10. You play in $10 game. We at Dynasty Nerds, in return to say thank you for supporting our partner, we're going to give you a free 1-year membership to the Dynasty GM and the Dynasty Nerd Herd, right? So you're going to get the extra podcast, the Dynasty GM app, which if you get in there, it does everything. You get the Dynasty Rookie Guide. You get the extra podcast. You get the film room. You get the nerd score. You get so much to put yourself in a position to dominate your Dynasty League with the right tools and the right information 365 days a year, because that's a game we play. You know, here we are talking Dynasty in mid-May, and we're talking valuable information to help make your team better, right? There is no off season, because there's just all there is different windows for you to go better your team at. And there's always that time, and we provide you the tools to do that. And using FastDraft is going to give you all those tools for as simple as $10. You go download the app in any app store, FastDraft, or go to draftfaster.com and use the promo code NERDS. Draftfaster.com or download the FastDraft app and dominate your rookie drafts using the promo code NERDS.
And don't forget about myffpc.com. That's myffpc.com. Amazing place to play in those high-stake leagues. Yes, you can do some entry-level stuff, some $35 leagues. Get your feet wet. Use promo code NERDS. We'll give you $25 off. That's a $10 league. But you can go in there and you can say, hey, I want to push the chips all in. I want to get in a big-time league. Maybe for you, that's $100. Maybe that's $500. Maybe that's over $2,000 entry fee. You can do that over on myffpc.com. Use promo code NERDS. You don't have to worry about the league folding. It is going to stand the test of time. They have tons of different formats that you can play in and you can invest in your league. So use promo code NERDS, myffpc.com, promo code NERDS.
Yeah, I just want to pick about that because I haven't had a chance to do the promo for my FFPC in a while.
Do it.
And I just want to say how valuable that site is because you're right. You mentioned that $2,500 entry fee or $100 entry fee because the $100 entry fee might be a lot as well to you,
Yes.
right? And I think the biggest thing I love about that is the security that you get because it's so hard. Like a lot of you are on your Twitter, join these leagues or Discord channels. Like you don't know how the security of these leagues and in Dynasty, you want that security to be able to like trade for future 27 first. Like, oh, I'm listening to Nerds podcast. I'm in rebuild. I just traded for 527 first. Right. But now in the meantime, you got to pay your entry fee for the next 2 years. Like if that league folds, you just wasted your money, which is a terrible situation. And it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And the fact that they offer the security of your league never folding is such a good investment for myffpc.com. And then, listen, a lot of us, like, we don't have 11 other friends that just want to join a new Dynasty league and then want to play for $500 because, yeah, dude, I want to get, of course, Garrett, you want to play for a $500 league. You spend a ton of time playing. Like, I'm a casual Dynasty player. So this gives you an opportunity to find that league that's perfect for you. And I just want to mention that because I love that fact about my FFPC, and that's what separates them from everybody else.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So let's get to the numbers. Wide receiver 1 seasons for just one-time, one-year wonders. We're looking at 49.35%, which would leave us just over 50%, 50.65. Do it for 2 or more seasons. 3 or more seasons, still a pretty solid number. 35% of the time, those guys go for 3 or more seasons. 4 or more seasons, we're down to 23%. So took another,
but still not
dip.
bad. Like one
Not
out of
bad.
4, like almost. That's really good.
Absolutely. Then it drops to 16.88%, so almost 17%. 5 or more seasons, then you get to the real elite. 6 or more seasons, only 9.9%. And 7 or more seasons, we've only had 4 guys in this data set do that. That's 4 out of 77. So that leaves us with a just over 5% chance of happening.
And it's just a long time to play.
At a receiver
at a high level
position, like that's tough to maintain that speed, not get hurt. Like there's a lot that has to go right for you to do that. So let's switch on over to tight end. And I said that the highest 1-year wonder rate was at receiver. It's not. That's not true. It's actually here at tight end. Tight end has the highest 1-year wonder.
Look at them.
Hit rate of any of these. In fact, we are looking at more guys being 1-year wonders than having 2 or more seasons. So 29 of our data set guys. So that's 29 of the 53 were just 1-year wonders. 54% of those guys, which leaves us with a little over 45% chance of doing it 2 or more seasons.
And this goes back a long time too, right?
This one goes back. Yeah, I think I went back to the 90s because I wanted to get.
I see 1997 on here.
Yeah, I wanted to get Tony Gonzalez in here because he was kind of the GOAT of the position. So he was kind of a fun one. A lot of times there were certain players in certain years that I wanted to like match it up with too. So I wanted to get Manning in there. I wanted to get Shady McCoy in there.
Cam Cleveland.
Yeah,
Good
there's some fantastic names. Fantastic names in here. But
Where's Tony Gonzalez?
All the way at the top.
all the way at the top, my guy. The tippy top.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong. I was looking. Cam.
16 top 6 seasons of his 17 years. So Peyton Manning type stuff there at the tight end position.
That's insane.
So this is another one that we're not doing top 12, right?
Correct, because we really don't care who tight end 9 was last year. We want to know, are you an elite difference maker? And I like to kind of combine this with the other thing that we learned about this position, where guys that are going to be top 6, 90% of them are going to do it within their first 2 seasons.
That's the biggest stat.
That's the biggest stat that I like to tie to.
90% is a high number.
A very, very high number.
I'm back, baby, mathematician style.
The hilarious part is we had the outlier happen this season with Jonnu Smith entering the group. But that tells me, even as much as I like Jonnu Smith, and I'm in a Jonnu Smith fan club, like I'm not expecting him to be a top 6 again this season. I think he'll be a wide or tight end 1? Yeah, I think he will.
Because Evan Ingram's gonna be top 6.
He might be.
Oh, I think,
and he's done it several times.
He's gonna be the Joker, and
he's done it 3 times in his career. So the names in here are not going to surprise you much, just because there haven't been nearly as many tight ends that have been successful. Tony Gonzalez, the GOAT.
Be fair for Tony too. He was today's tight end in an era where there was no.
They didn't know how to deal with that.
They had no other tight ends. Like he was, like the closest thing they had in that era was like Freddie Jones from Green Bay, right? Like there was nobody. Then then came along like Todd Heap for the Ravens.
Yeah. And then Antonio Gates snuck in there, and that's when things really started changing.
Yeah, Antonio Gates. I mean, to be fair, Antonio Gates changed the mold. More so than Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, I mean, they were both ex-basketball players.
I guess. I mean, so was Jimmy Graham.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that was that bringing those types of guys in kind of switched the mold.
And I thought I meant that like teams realized they could run their offense through a tight end a little bit more, and we're looking for that more athletic tight end, and saw it really made a difference. Like Tony Gonzalez at the time was like the only guy really like doing it.
Yeah. So we had Tony Gonzalez. Then the only guy that's even in his like stratosphere is Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's the only one that's done it more than half of those amount of seasons.
Good for you, Kansas City.
Right? Yeah. Must be nice.
Must be
but
nice.
What I would say is like, my point is, why I want to say like kind of Travis Kelce's kind of GOAT is Travis Kelce did it with so much more competition.
Yeah.
Than Tony Gonzalez. Like, yeah, Tony Gonzalez was a top 6 guy for 16 of the 17 years because there was nobody else to go around. He was top 3 11 of those times. Yeah, way easier for him to do. Travis Kelce did it. He was in the league for 12 years so far. He's a top 6 guy 10 times. He was top 3 8 times, and those were 8 in a row, mind you, as well. So, like, I feel like for me personally, I think Travis Kelce's is more impressive
fantasy GOAT.
because how many people he had to compete with at the time. There's some really good guys he had to go against.
And many different guys at different times. Like it wasn't just like one guy. He was like, there were 3 or 4 different guys depending on the year that were like pushing up,
vying,
trying to get there. But we see other names you would expect. Antonio Gates had 8. Jason Witten had 8. Guys like Jimmy Graham, and now George Kittle entered the 6th category.
Oh, he's going
which is pretty special. Guys with 5, Robin Gronkowski, and then Mark Andrews has 5. So we see a lot of guys still playing in these top tiers of these tight ends, just because it's the position has shifted, and I feel like in the past 10 to 15 years we've really done a lot more with the tight end than we ever were doing before. Guys that we just see too, though, it's a lot of kind of sad names, honestly. Guys that have only done it twice. Randy McMichael, Algie Crumpler.
Algie.
The only reason I know about him is because in Madden 04, you always played with Mike Vick.
Oh, yeah.
And Algie Crumpler was there, baby. He was Mr. Reliable.
He was not fast.
No.
But he was there and he would catch everything.
Kellen Winslow had 2 of them, one with the Browns, one with Tampa Bay. Austin Hooper made the list, had 2 top 6 seasons, and then Darren Waller had 2 top 6 seasons. So interesting group, but we have a lot more that have just been one-year wonders that have snuck inside the top 6.
Can we go back? I think there's a name on here that I love a ton.
All right.
And I still have ranked really high, and that's TJ Hawkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has done it. He's been in the league for 6 years. He's been a top 6 guy 3 times. I think he has a chance to enter that special category.
He's only been playing 6 seasons.
He's only 27 years old.
Yep.
So he still has a chance, like say he plays for another at least 6 seasons. Say, I think he has a chance to do it at least 3 more times. That would put him in that George Kittle, Jimmy Graham range as well. So I think value-wise, I think TJ Hawkinson.
Game.
Because everybody else is like, oh, it's Sam Laporta. Obviously, Brock Bowers is clearly going to enter this
absolutely.
mode. He's the next great one we'll see. But I think value-wise, a guy who slipped because of his injury where he finished last year, I think TJ Hawkinson, to me, is still right around like tight end 4 overall for me personally. I think these numbers kind of show at 27, he's already done it 3 times. And you said, once you're one of these guys, history kind of tells us, like, you stay one of those guys.
Yeah, if guys that are going to do it multiple times, their first one is within their first 2 seasons. So you want to be one of those guys. And so, it makes you feel great about a guy like a Brock Bowers, like a Sam Laporta that's done it only one time so far. But we feel good about him potentially doing it again. So guys that are still kind of around and relevant that are in the data set now that are eligible, David Njoku, he's done it once. Tyler Higbee, Dalton Schultz, and then Kyle Pitts. But we have 3 guys that are not eligible yet. That's Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers, and Trey McBride.
Which is funny because those round up my top. Like, those are my top 3 guys, and then I have TJ Hawkinson at 4 for like dynasty rankings overall. Like, those are the guys that I want. Obviously, Brock Bowers in a tier by himself, then Trey McBride in a tier by himself.
Correct.
And then you got like Laporta, and then pretty much like Hawkinson is like the guys you really want.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens with guys like Loveland and Warren. It's an interesting class, but neither one of them, for different reasons, neither one like super ideal landing spots. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think those guys are above this player, but Mason Taylor as well. A very high 2nd round draft pick. Also, he's going to have a ton of opportunity. The David Njoku one, I want to go back on because he did not finish as a top 6 guy in his first 2 seasons. So he would be a trend buster there, so to speak,
if he were to do it
if he were to do it one more time. So do you guys have any confidence in him getting there? They just went out and drafted Harold Fannin here in the 3rd round.
I think he'll be the number 2 target in this offense.
But he's
going to be trailing a lot.
Yeah, that was going to be my point.
But he was the number 2 in this offense last year, and they were trailing a lot.
I mean, the quarterback. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was abysmal.
But they also had Jameis Winston for the biggest part of the season, who's one of the best, most friendly fantasy quarterbacks there are.
And Njoku looked better with Jameis Winston,
as he should. But it still wasn't enough to quite get him there.
Yeah, let me see. But the thing with tight ends, if you want to be top 6, you got to do it every single week. And Njoku, you're right, finished as tight end.
And he missed
11, and he missed
4, 5, 6. He missed 6 games.
He missed 6 games.
Yeah.
So on a points per, honestly, he was tight end like 5 over. Like he averaged his 13.5 points per game.
Yeah, when he was on the field, he was good.
So, but you're right. There's no excuses for something like that. But yeah, I think Njoku has a chance to enter that tier.
Kind of break the mold.
Yeah. I think just like Jonnu Smith kind of got in the first year. I think Njoku has the best chance to be that guy.
Guys that are still in the league and relevant that could be the other mold breakers. Dalton Schultz, highly doubt it.
Probably not.
Agreed.
Highly doubt it.
Yep.
Tyler Higbee, highly doubt it. It seems like they drafted his replacement in Ferguson.
Kyle Pitts is obviously somebody who could.
But Kyle Pitts did it in his first year.
Oh, he did do it in his first year. Yeah, you're right.
So, and he might end up kind of like an Evan Ingram, where Evan Ingram did it in his rookie campaign, which was in 2017. Then we don't see him enter the list again until 2022. So maybe it's the same kind of thing where Kyle Pitts just needs to get the right system with the right coach and the right whatever. And then all of a sudden he blossoms because then Evan Ingram did it back-to-back years in 22 and 23.
Yeah, and such as some of these guys that come in, like an Njoku came in so raw at 20 years old. You're like, if he doesn't do his first 2 years, that would make sense, right? There's a name on here. There's a guy that, due to injuries, I'm gonna blame it on injuries. There was a guy here that I absolutely loved, Jordan Reed.
Oh, yeah.
I thought for sure. I had so many Jordan Reed shares because I thought for sure
stay healthy.
He was going to be a stud. And he had that one tight end 1 year, and then he just got hurt and was never healthy again. Tyler Eifert, somebody I thought that could have been pretty solid. He got banged up pretty good out there.
I like Julius Thomas and Jordan Cameron. I like both of those guys a ton.
You did like Julius
2013
Thomas.
specials.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, he had Manning slinging it out there, too.
Yeah.
Julius Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, he looked really good. I remember you being a Julia Thomas fan. Jordan Cameron for the Browns had the movement skills. Then he duped the Browns, signed a contract somewhere else, and he was never good again. Yeah, the Dolphins was never going to
He
get
had like a concussion.
Yeah, you're right. It was a concussion,
Yeah,
and
a lot of
I thought if I remember right, he made a comment like, "Oh, I probably should have just stayed in Cleveland
Yeah, should
at
have.
the time."
So should have Carlos Boozer.
Remember Gary Barnage?
Good old Gare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary. Really good. I'll remember one of the greatest catches ever. Tight end caught a football with his feet.
Yep.
It was great. So the biggest statistic though out of here is like Garrett said, like if you don't do it in your first 2 years, like odds are of you being an elite tight end,
Pretty
long
low.
term, pretty low. Like you'll get an outlier. The only guys I would get the benefit out of it is somebody comes in as like a 20-year-old raw kind of kid, like an Njoku. Right?
Well, and we will have to give the guy that actually he's not eligible yet because he hasn't had his 4 seasons, but he did not do it in his first 2 seasons. But he did it this year, was Trey McBride. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So he actually, we expect him to break the trend there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so which is actually funny if you say that. So if Trey McBride does it and Njoku does, obviously it goes from 90% and goes
Goes down quite a
drastically
bit.
lower.
Yep.
It's going to change the odds. But like outside of those guys, like what tight ends? And honestly, if I'm being totally fair, because I didn't get a single Tyler Warner share, I didn't get a single Colston Lovell.
Really? You don't have any?
I didn't get a single one. I'm a tight end slut too. It's just because, like you said, like I don't overly love the situations they're in. I thought they were really nice prospects. Their draft capital is absolutely
Excellent.
amazing as well. But it's like, okay, dude, like
Tight end is one of the most landing spot dependent fantasy positions.
Like, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta. I still believe in Kincaid. I think he'd be a trendsetter that do it, like that. Like, there's like, so that's 5. We're looking top 6, and like, there's other guys out here that could be stellar. Like, do they end up being closer to the Cole, like Pat Fryer, Cole Kmetz, those guys that hover around like 6,
8,
7, 8, and they
10.
and we see this like, and could they finish this mold where they finish it as like the 2, the 3? Because there's only 24 guys that have done it twice or more, going back to 1997.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if you're going to be top 6 out of going back to 1997, only 24 tight ends have been a top 6 guy 2 or more times, and half of that list, 13 of these guys have only done it 3 or less times. So it was 12 guys, only 12 guys since 1997 at tight end, which is you can play way longer at tight end too, right? Only 12 guys since 1997 have done it 4 or more times. So
Yikes.
it kind of goes back to like why I am a tight end slut, right? And I try to like start up and get these guys because this is a much longer historical data, even past the quarterbacks that we won here.
This is the oldest one.
And it's also the fewest guys that you can find that get those. So like if I have a chance to get a Brock Bowers,
Consistent difference maker.
and why I want to gamble on Trey McBride, and like I'll overdraft TJ Hawkinson by a round, because like if you can get that guy and put him in that position and forget about it, it's why I in my Superflex tight end premium rankings, I have Brock Bowers ranked ahead of Bijan Robinson. Like I only have 3 receivers ahead of him, the rest are quarterbacks.
I do have Brock Bowers ahead of him as well.
Right. So like if I can get that guy, they're the true unicorns. They're the ones of 2s.
You would have loved the one roster rescue yesterday. So one of the guys, he was talking about his league, and it's a 2-point tight end
I'm
premium.
in 2 of those. I got Brock Bowers.
And and it's a 12-team league, and you start 2 tight ends.
Ooh.
And so we were looking at, and he has not a lot else on his team. And I was like, he had Brock Bowers though. And I was like, I'm not selling him unless somebody pays you the most ungodly amount. I said, this is going to sound crazy, but he not only would be the number 1 overall draft pick for me in a startup, because I mean, you have to start 24 tight ends and they're worth 2 points per catch. Like, he's the number 1 pick over Jaden Daniels, over Josh Allen. So not only that, if somebody wants him from you, I want 5 first-round picks. I want 5, and I'm not joking. I want 5 first-round picks to move.
But you can't even trade. Yeah, it's those guys are really special, and it's one like, dude, when we go to the Fantasy Football Expo, I bring it up every single year in the Dynasty panel and stuff. Like, I can't. And if you've listened to Dynasty Nerds podcast for the last 11 years, I've preached the same exact message. Matt's been playing Dynasty with me for 22 years. Like, I have habitually went out and either traded for or drafted a ton of tight ends. It's why I draft like the Elijah Royals, all these guys in the third round if I can get them, because like these are the true outlier like position where like they're the haves and the have-nots, and there's only a couple of those guys even available in the league to have. So if you have one of those, you have an edge. Yeah, you might have a guy that can come in here and do it 1, maybe 2 years, but like if you have the guy that you put in your lineup and put him in there year in, year out. I have George Kittle in our oldest Dynasty league now, who I went out and overpaid for. Before that, I had Rob Gronkowski in my lineup. I had Todd Heap in my lineup before him. You know what I mean? So like, and Todd Heap's on this list. Todd Heap did it 4 times. Like, there's a lot of guys that I have like in my old Dynasty league: George Kittle, Rob Gronkowski, Todd Heap. They're all in the top 10 of this list. And for the last 22 years, I've had all 3 of those guys on my roster because like, that to me is an edge over your league mate. It's why, like, if you have a chance to start up, like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take Brock Bowers here. And if I miss out on Brock Bowers because I took Malik Neighbors or Jamar Chase, I hope to God I get Trey McBride. If I miss out on Trey McBride, then, man, I got to get, like, Sam Laporta or TJ Hawkinson. And then I'm crossing my fingers, right? Like, I'm hoping for the best at that point.
So the tight end position is weird, right? Because Rich has had a ton of success having these long-term guys, right? I've almost had the opposite, and I do the same thing, and this is what's so crazy. We both draft a ton of tight ends. Sometimes you just get lucky and you get the guy that lasts forever. I have a ton of these 1-year wonder guys. Wonders. Yeah. So I mean, and I won a bunch of championships in that league, and it's like I had Brent Selleck, I had Julius Thomas, I had Jordan Cameron, I had Martellus Bennett all on the same exact team. Like this is from one team, and you know, and I've had success doing it that way as well. So I guess to Rich's point, keep drafting these guys. Yeah. I mean, like even if you get the 1-year wonder guys, they're still valuable, and you can still trade those guys
because a lot of people believe that there's still magic left in that bottle.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get these guys, and sometimes they're 1-year wonder, and you trade them for a first-round draft pick, but you drafted them in the 3rd round. These are great guys to draft late, and then flip them when they kind of peak in your eyes.
And when they hit, that's again, it helps you do. What does it do? It helps you win that championship because it's that edge you get. So like, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, like don't try and get the guys that are short term too. It's just so nice again. In Dynasty, to plug, like same thing, why do you want Jaden Daniels? So you can plug and play him as your quarterback and not worry about it. What do you want Malik Neighbors for? Like we were talking about, like doing that pivot there from like Justin Jefferson. Okay, I can put him on my roster for the next 8 years and not worry about who my wide receiver 1 is. The reason I want those guys early is because, okay, if you don't have that tight end 1, what are you doing? You are spending a lot of draft picks. You're chasing them. You're chasing them. Yep. You're chasing them and chasing them. When you have those guys that you can plug and play, it opens up your like draft and your trade so much easier because now you're just trying to like, oh, I don't need a tight end. I don't need a quarterback. Like, all right, I could trade for that older running back. It's not a big deal to me. I can give him my first for that running back, even though he's only got a year left because my team has its core built. But you're right. Like, there's a ton of other guys because the window's so small that can be the year 1 guys that finish top 6, and you get hit on the Jonnu Smith. But now you're just hoping to get lucky compared to like filling out that cornerstone, the foundation. Like you had the straw, you had the little piggy house made of straw, and I'm living in a little piggy house made of bricks. Come on, big bad wolf. Come on. I'm looking at you, hairy mother.
All right. Well, that wraps up. These are great shows.
I
know
love these shows, man.
They're some of my favorite shows, and I know that these data ones specifically can be a lot to try to digest without getting to like visually see it. We will put these in the show notes, so maybe you can look at these while we're talking about it. But go through, listen a second time if you have to kind of digest all the information, because I know it's not as fun as some of the games and things like that, but this is the information that really sets you apart from your opponents.
But if you were to like graph these, I mean, wide receiver tight ends, they almost come in at 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. 1 year wonders, and then 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and it's just like this gradual drop off, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's pretty steady on both of those. Quarterback, you get this odd 30% way up to 69, and then you're like on this bell curve, right? Right. And then the running backs, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
55 and 45, basically.
So it was basically back to the same thing, right? So the only one that's a real big aberration is the quarterback.
Take those top 6 quarterbacks, baby.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing Gary said, these Excel sheets will be posted in the show notes. it's way easier to look at these and get a better grade. Like, oh wow. And at the same time, if you've been playing for a while too,
It's fun to look at all the names.
Ton of fun. Like I forgot Jordan Reed existed until I saw his name in here, and it brought back so many memories of like how much I loved Jordan Reed in Washington, and I thought he was for sure going to be that next guy, right? Like
injuries.
It's just fun to see the data, and like you said, it's way easier to like punch you in the face when you're looking at it going, oh wow, there really is only like 20 since 1997, 24 guys that have done it twice or more. It doesn't even seem like right.
Make sense.
In 28 years, there's only been 24 guys that do it 2 or more, and there's 32 teams in NFL. Like, so there's 32 chances a year, like, but only 24 guys in that long have done it.
Yep.
That is, it doesn't even seem possible, right? But the facts are the facts. And I loved it because, like, again, I've played this way forever. So when I see something like that back it up, like, when I joke around like, oh, I'm the tight end slut, and why I've been preaching to grab that tight end because like I know it makes a difference. It's how my teams consistently stay competitive when I have that guy because it is an edge on your opponents. To see the data going, yeah, Rich, you're right. Like if you have one of those guys, like he's a literally
hard to find.
He's a unicorn. Like TJ Hawkinson is number 19. Like he's available right now. You go trade for TJ Hawkinson. He's 19th over the last 28 years. And he's still got another 6 years of like tight end play.
Of good play.
Like, and you can go get that guy. Like, does it mean he's going to be elite? But no, I feel pretty good about him because he's in that tier. So love these episodes. Some of my favorite episodes. Something where I love the refresher because it's easy for information to get away from you.
Yeah.
So I love these episodes to kind of draw you back in as well.
So it's good for the summer. Summertime's good for these kind of things to just remind you as you go into, drafting new startups or into the season before you make those trades to really solidify your lineup before the year starts.
And things change. Like we just mentioned the tight end, if Njoku and McBride in there, that goes from, there's a 90% chance
to now maybe it's 75%.
Well, again, so it changes like in Dynasty changes. So like we'll keep going back. Like now we have 30 years of data on this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, 30 years of data. Like these points of historical data is like you need to keep it fresh in your head. And it's good things like kind of like just a foundation of rules to go back to. Kind of go back to my poker analogy. Doesn't mean you can't play the hand, but just know the odds you're getting yourself into going into it. And so don't be surprised when you lose.
And there's ebbs and flows to all this stuff, right? There was a time when wide receivers took 3 years to break out, and that was the norm. And now the norms are different.
Yeah.
Guys come in the league and they start tearing it up right away.
If they haven't done it by year 2, they're toast.
Right.
Yeah.
So to your point with the tight, or to your point about the tight ends, right now it's at 2 years if you haven't done it. But maybe that
shift and changes.
Maybe that
they
shifts and changes. Maybe that window shrinks. Maybe it grows. Maybe it's 3 years all of a sudden that it's a 90% hit rate or something like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, because we could see guys like Njoku, McBride, and Kincaid enter that mold too. So it's interesting. We'll do this probably.
McBride.
and listen, we're probably going to do the show this time of the year. Every year until we're not doing the podcast anymore because this is value information. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, go ahead and find the Excel sheets on there. Get a visual on it too. We'll be back next week talking more Dynasty Fantasy Football.
Adios.